It's 6 o'clock. If you could have a seat, please. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Thank you very much for letting us get to business. Let's see. All the trustees are present, and I'd like to recognize Michelle, are you called principal? I'm sorry? Okay. I'd like to recognize Principal Michelle Syverson.
We need to do the roll call.
Okay,
Ellsworth.
here.
Liker.
Here.
Lopez Aguino.
Here.
That better. Medina.
Here.
Quinones. Here. Thank you.
Principal Syverson?
So the student that was supposed to lead the pledge has gone to the West Campus. So it's up to you if you want to proceed. It may take him a few minutes to get here.
Is he planning on coming over? Okay. Okay, we have a suggestion to go ahead and do the pledge so we can get moving. And when he shows up, he can lead us again. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. Please stand. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for your understanding. Let's see, we can start with our first school report. So I'd like to recognize, if I may, Principal Pilar Vargas from Imperial Beach Charter.
I beg your pardon. I just need 1 second. I'm having a little technical difficulty.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I know, I will go ahead, we'll have a conversation. Good evening and nice to see all of our board members here, new faces and ones that I'm familiar with. I am Dr. Pilar Vargas. I am the principal of Imperial Beach Charter, and welcome to all the audience members and hello to everyone out there as well. It's lovely to see you and Council Member Fisher as well. So thank you. I know we have some technical difficulties. So for those of you that are not familiar with me, I believe Ms. Medina and Ms. Quinones were here when I was hired in June. I'm fairly local. I actually grew up right behind Emory Elementary. And so kind of working in secondary and being here now coming back does really feel full circle. It's been really cool having those conversations with my students when they ask me, well, where are you from? And being very clear, well, actually, I grew up not that far from right here. And so it's a whole other level of connection and relationship building that's actually been really, really cool with them.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My apologies.
Thank you, Amy. I mean, I can wing it too. I know the information. I don't know the dog though. Okay, so as we continue, so we are the home of the Dolphins. This is Imperial Beach Charter School. I am the proud principal of Imperial Beach Charter School, a TK through 8 that services 800 students. So as I tell so many people, I service everything from 4-year-olds all the way up to 14. And so it's a wide range of learning and understanding and developmental stages that requires a flexibility and curiosity, I think, that most people don't fully understand. So we all know that the past couple of years have been very difficult with COVID and then hybrid and then coming back and the difficulty of transitioning back. And this idea of going back to a new normal doesn't really exist. And so how do we move forward from there? And so for this year in particular, it really was about bringing back this happiness and this joy back to learning and back to being on campus again. And so the full focus for this year has been to highlight the work of our staff, uplifting students so they feel welcome and acknowledged for their work. And in turn, that also means including the families and making it really a feeling of community on campus. So the bottom statement was actually something that was created at the very beginning of this year, actually with my fellow administrators. And it's something that I felt really settled in my heart about where we're going forward for this year. We believe in the promise of our children, the strength of our families, and in the power of the impossible. And as we tell our kids, you can do hard things. But that meant we had to really take a look at our areas of need, places where the pandemic showed us that there were gaps, the struggles that were existing at home and were manifesting themselves at school. And so based off of the California dashboard, this is the information that was recently released. We are below standard in English. We are below standard in mathematics. And we have 39.1% of our students who are chronically absent. And so I take a little bit of comfort knowing that I'm not alone in these numbers. And we know it really has to do with the difficulty of what the past 2 years really showed. And so my job and my responsibility has really been to try and address these. And so we've done that addressing through our LCAP goals, because as a charter, we do have an LCAP. And the first one has to do with academic excellence. And so some of the ways that we have done that is not just to inspire teachers to find joy in their teaching, but how do we do that? And so teachers have been asking for assistance in different ways. One of those was really bringing in project-based learning. And so some teachers have taken it upon themselves to start project-based learning in their classrooms. And an example that I have is actually that first picture with the older grades reading with the younger grades. It's a bunch of second graders. And what the second graders have done is they've taken on this geology project. And I posted on Twitter actually last week, the geology professor actually came and presented to our students to prep them for the visit that they're going to go in April, because grad students are going to demonstrate and perform a lab with our second graders on geology. And then they're going to demonstrate that to their parents in May. So it really is doing a deep dive, but still meeting the science and the writing and the math standards that are still a strong part of the curriculum. We all do the formal and informal assessments within the classrooms, me with my walkthroughs, the teachers in working with their small groups. And so we also use our district TOSAs in order to support that small group instruction that is so necessary, especially not just for building relationships, but building that confidence in English and math specifically. New teachers are provided support through the TOSAs as well, with pull-out days and actually push-in support, and continuously trying to implement the standards so that our students can achieve those goals. Something else that I have done this year is to do grade level professional development. And what that means is providing support specifically for TK through kinder, because as we know, they were on a different campus a few years ago. And then first through sixth, something that's very specific for them as well. And then also creating a very middle school teenage minded professional development for our middle school teachers, 7th through 8th. So the best example that I could give for that is really diving deep into the research and what it means to teach a middle schooler and what it means, the middle school brain. And for any of you that had teens or tweens or have been one and remember what it was like, it was unpleasant. And so it really is about how do we help them be academically successful when they're having this dramatic brain growth. And so it's been very, very helpful for that team as well to get them into that middle school mindset and how to become a middle school team. And then lovingly with the before and after school clubs, that has to do not just with tutoring, but with the enrichment. Our school actually has the highest number of after school clubs and highest participation across the district. We also have the highest number of teachers actually running after school clubs. And so that's also been extremely beneficial to bringing connection and relationships. When we're talking about equity and inclusion, we have actually increased the purchase of culturally relevant and interesting literature for the library, but also for classrooms. And specifically for our English learners, they were asking for themes that actually hit home with them. And so we've gone and purchased some of those as well in order for them to be seen in the classroom. Reaching out to families in the community to include them. And so that has to do with bringing more events on campus, not just with the Fall Festival, but other PTA opportunities. We have more coming this semester as well. And as well, bringing the community in. So you see the little free library that's up there that's now in Connecticut. It is restocked by IMRT on a regular basis. And something else that is not up there because it's not right out there yet, but our mural club and our students, it's all student led, have actually created murals, created a proposal, presented it to me, and they've actually presented it to the IB Art Bureau, who they're now working in conjunction with to get it posted up on our campus as well. So you can't see it, but it's all the work behind the scenes that is happening. Again, bring the community in and making those connections. And creating a culture of inclusion and equity with families and community with events like Coffee with the Principal, like SSC, and holding events so that we can go ahead and make those connections. And lastly, a welcoming and safe school. And a big part of that has to do with making sure that students feel safe. The creation and space of a counseling position and a behavior intervention assistant position at the school site, I cannot emphasize enough how important and how valuable that has been at our school site. And I'm sure it's been the same at others as well. They work together to provide social and emotional support for students from TK all the way through 8th grade. So part of that has been our psychologists have actually created social emotional lessons and push-in lessons. And they started this last semester and they pushed into our TK through 6. And then this semester, they actually took recommendations from teachers and created it geared towards what the teachers have requested. And so that has been, so that is scheduled all the way through May. So, and then our counselor actually does the same thing, but for 7th and 8th grade, and they do it through their advisory period. But again, very intentional of focusing on student needs and school needs. There are small support groups that the counselor and the BIA really do help support with students. And these happen on a weekly basis. We have also begun the transition to restorative practices. So this is something that myself and my assistant principal, Kyle Griffith, are strong proponents of and something that we have implemented at other sites. And the first training actually was in January for a cohort of teachers. And for them, the feedback that we got was that they didn't understand what it really meant and the importance of relationships until then. So they're implementing it in the classrooms. They're going to run circles at the next staff meeting with their colleagues. And then we're going to hold another training in the spring and then do a school-wide one in July. So there is plans to do that, and again, to building those relationships. We've done fish bowls with students in order to gain their insights and making adjustments. Just because I have a vision and a goal doesn't mean that I don't take into consideration that whether it's working or not, taking back that data. So we've done student, parent, and staff surveys so that we can go ahead and adjust according to not just what we see, but listening to who we actually serve. And then, you know, down at the bottom, the middle school sports is always great to get participation in that way. And it's extremely inviting. And then what I put up there for the welcoming and safe, it's inclusive. So the Bad Bunny one, a friend is what the heart needs all the time. So that was done for Friendship Week, Kindness Week. And so just talking about friendship and what that means. And then with the inclusion of, those are our SDC classes that are providing that inclusion as well and demonstrating that. And for Black History Month, it's what the students walk into, to see themselves, to feel as if they're fully a part of it is so important. And so that's what we're doing this year and looking forward to what next year will hold. Thank you.
Is the student here yet?
No, I believe no, not
He's
yet.
not here yet?
No.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming. What is this, your second year? That's our first year.
Oh, this is my first year. Yes.
First year.
Yes.
First year. I want to recognize that. Thank you very much for your service and your dedication to our Imperial Beach Charter School. You have a lot of parent engagement opportunities that I also take advantage of, and you have a strong PTA and a message center through them. And eh, talking about your, the safety elements, the information you put out through that Facebook page. I like the gate over here on Connecticut, don't come here after January 10th,
Yeah.
because we all know it's the snarl there and it's not safe. So that message went out timely and way in advance. So parents had so much more information than they would have if they came on, back to school on January 10th. So those little information pieces are very helpful. I'm thankful for your leadership there. You could have just crashed me off on that little photo at the library.
It was a great photo. It went out on social media. You had to be included.
But it is a great community engagement piece. Kids gather around their parents. I've seen them.
Mhm.
And so thank you very much for partnering with I think it's the county library that supports that, brings books. They bring books to me anyway. Okay.
So yes, and I remember we had that conversation. So no, the county doesn't currently. We have enough of our own. And so we
Oh.
can reach out if we are short, but so far we have a plethora of books to go ahead and provide there.
That's good news. That's good news. Like I said, I applaud you for one, putting your application in and applying for this position. It's not an easy position. It is TK through 8. And coming back from COVID, the 37% chronic absenteeism
Mhm.
is alarming. And the struggles with test scores. And I'm very thankful that your teachers and staff are utilizing district resources to bring that strength forward and down and in and push in. But if we don't have kids in the seats, those that learning and teaching time, it can't be overlooked. Even if you have 5
Mhm.
students in class and you have 20 on your roster, those 5 students need to have that daily instruction. They can't wait for tomorrow. Those kids need instruction. And a lot of time I've seen that happen. So I just want to share the importance that every day matters. And no matter how many kids come, that they'd get that daily instruction as if they had a full class. They should be getting more if they're 1 to 5. But I thank you, and I look forward to the next reporting period for the attendance and your test scores. Thank you again, and to your staff.
Thank you. And I would like to say it was a chance encounter with Mr. Espinosa at last year's equity conference that led me to apply. So I'm grateful and I'm very happy. So thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you so much. And yesterday I was at a Girl Scout meeting with my daughters and one of their students was raving about the hands-on science experiments that she was doing at school. And she was saying how often she likes to talk a lot and then she's like, science happens and I'm ready to learn. And she was so excited. So it's awesome to hear outside of school about how much the kiddos love what's happening in the classroom. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Principal Vargas.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I would like to introduce again Principal of the virtual. Is it Academy? Okay, Virtual Academy, Michelle Severson. There we go. I'm gonna have Angel do his piece. That's good with you? To do the pledge again?
course.
Okay. Ready?
Everybody, please stand up. Put your right hand over your heart. I pledge of allegiance, flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to thank Mom and Dad. They escaped. And all the community people who support kids. My goodness, supporting student leadership is what we just did right now. So thank you.
Thank you. So my, let me start with good evening, President Ellsworth, Mrs. Likert, Mrs. Medina, Mrs. Quinones, Mr. Lopez Aquino, and Mr. Superintendent Espinosa, and our audience. I am Michelle Syverson, and I am the proud principal for the Virtual Academy that we started 3 years ago with my lovely staff here. The Virtual Academy was established in COVID times for families that did not want their students to return back in person. And our staff took it in the lens of, we wanted it to be a school. We wanted it to run from here into the future. And so we took upon us to set our mission, set our vision, set our goals for what we want our students to do, what our school to look like, and we ran with it. And so we are pleased that we are still on this journey together, although we're a little smaller, but we are proud that we are together. Our families that we serve, 88% of them are Hispanic. We have 57% that are ELLs, 47% or 43 are English learners. We have 17% of our students are special needs. So they're either seen for speech or with our ed service specialist. And we have 82% that are gen ed population. I want to take you through a journey with us. So our first year when we started with 262 on average students. And then year 2 hit and we ballooned and we grew from week 1 to week 21, continuous enrollment, to the point where in December and January, we needed to hire 3 new teachers. So we were constantly onboarding. And I say that because that makes a difference in our data. When you looked at our students that we had at the beginning, our first year, it was consistent. They knew the rules, they knew the expectations. We had a community that was built. The second year, it was constantly building the community. This year, we've had a steady, although we're small, we've had steady enrollment at 127. And with that, you're able to build community, routines and structures, a sense of belonging. The best comment I had from a parent was, this is our family. We're in each other's living rooms every day. I mean, the best compliment from her. With our attendance, we're at a steady pace of 95% for all 3 years when you look at the overall. We did take a dip last year. We have met, though, even though we've hit that dip, we have met our 1% increase overall for attendance, and we have decreased our chronic absenteeism. So we've gone from 18% to 13% as of right now. The one thing I love about this is I send out a newsletter weekly, and in one weekend, I noticed that we were in 44 locations across the globe. Our furthest was Ireland. Our most southern was Mexico City. And then in the United States, the furthest north was Washington State. So I love the fact that our kids were connecting, they were learning, and our connecting is not just checking in for 10 minutes. They're with our teachers for at least 4 hours a day, and then they have work that's assigned to them in the afternoon. So kudos to them for connecting daily. So our data here, I've shared the successes and the challenges on the screen. However, the one thing I do want to point out, we took a hit. We took a hit in ELA, we took a hit in math and in our LPAC. That will not be the same for this year, but I have to own it, and we are working on it. Our strength for ELA is in listening and in research and inquiry, and you'll see that come through because we are a PBL school as well. An area to hit, and this goes across all content areas, is writing. And so that will be one of our focus. In mathematics, strength was in communicating reasoning. We have all students in either ST Math or Dreambox. And this past year, I asked the teachers to separate to where K2 is working on ST Math. It's a very conceptual component for mathematics. And then 3 through 6 will be in Dreambox. And so that differentiates for the students. If they have holes, they can shore up their learning, or if they're past grade level, they're able to work up through 8th grade algebra. For our LPAC, our strength is in speaking and our speaking skills. The one thing that we noticed and we made a modification with is our systematic ELD classes. Last year, we did them in the later morning. We noticed that kids were dropping off at that point and not attending. So we've moved it to the beginning of the school day, and we've had much more participation there. The one thing that we are doing, or we're in the process of doing, is hiring an IA to support our L1s and L2s. And we have classified, I believe it was up to 7 students this year. Again, an area to work on is for our writing. So our first SIPSA goal, and I'm going to read right off of my notes because I don't want to miss a thing on this one. With this piece, to ensure academics, all teachers are leading edge certified. This is a national certification program in educational technology and curriculum. In this picture on the left, you see one of our teachers instructing remotely from her classroom. By having multiple screens up, she is able to monitor students to see if they have any questions, are engaged, and dressed ready for class. On the right, she has a split screen. She has a timer up. They just finished their break. We do ask that students get away from the device on their break, rest their eyes, get a snack, get a drink, go to the restroom, and then by the time the timer comes back, they're back on camera. On the screen next to it, on the split screen, we have Go Guardian, and this is a tool that helps monitor students safely online. Teachers can redirect students, they can support them, they can message them. And then on the far screen, on the right-hand side, you'll see Nearpod. And I absolutely love this program. The teachers are able to do live engagement with the students. They're able to monitor, to clarify. They can go through and coach them just as if they were walking a classroom with Nearpod. The next piece I have is a few. So we have, as a site, we meet to discuss student progress formally for trimesterly monitoring. At that time, teachers share their success and struggles for all students. We meet as a team to discuss what intervention cycles will be provided, and then we implement. One of our interventions is Miss Arajo. That's her in the screen. She is our learning acceleration tutor, and she supports students in reading using LLI and math using Do the Math. She has provided support to 47 of our 127 students this year and 41 of our 127 in mathematics, and our kids absolutely love her. This year, our parents had requested for support with how to best support students learning online. And so our teachers came together and they created a book study. It's Help Your Kids with Study Skills, and they meet monthly. Each parent received a book and they walk through the process of how to best support their child. And then I can't say enough about our school site council. And they play such a huge active role with us. They share ideas, assistance. We look for, you'll look for them in the video. You'll hear both of them. They are both founding families as well with us. Our students have the opportunity to attend class in person every other Wednesday. And so during this time, students interact with peers on their PBL. PBL is our project-based learning. They attend VAPA STEM both virtually and in person, depending on the week, and build their social skills. The work they do together, if you take a look at the right side, they'll meet up in buddy rooms and share their learning with each other. Each student has math manipulative sets for in person as well as at home, so that way they're able to extend their learning. And then for advancing equity and inclusion, our first year together is when we began the equity conversations. And we read the book that's at the bottom, Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain. We did this as a book study. And then we were trained with the Buck Institute for best practices on implementing Gold Star method for project-based learning. We've incorporated strength-based assessments through Thrively. And this year we are doing empathy interviews and our fishbowl conversations with our 3 through 6 ELL students. This here is an image of the Gold Star elements, if you will. So PBL is a teaching method that provides hands-on learning to real-world problems for students. Teachers design and plan using content standards provided with authentic questions or problems for the student to work on for a period of time. So this is not something that, I'm going to give you 5 different objects and you get to do the project for a day. This is something that goes over several weeks. Students investigate, they engage in, they demonstrate content knowledge, they develop and strengthen critical thinking, communication, creativity, and collaboration. These are the essential elements that our teachers use to guide our students. Here are some images of the students presenting. They had their culmination events to where they get to share with their buddy rooms. So you'll see the kindergartners are sharing with the 3rd graders. We have 4th graders presenting on the Promethean boards. And then on the right, these are designs that the students created for a garden. And I gave them a challenge to create what they would like this garden to look like. And right now we're in the process of putting that together. So for the spring, they can plant different plants within there that they've created. So they ended up voting as a school what they wanted for their layout. We are a random acts of kindness school. And so you'll see that there are 6 pillars here. This is for us to create a warm and welcoming environment. We set goals to increase resource awareness for families by involving our parent nights, our meetings with our school psychologist, social worker, and Reach Out to Family Center. We currently have our district social worker and school counselor who will assist us in supporting families. And we've held home visits. We've provided food for our families. We've gone through, helped them with gaining online access. Our school counselor has been phenomenal. She provides support groups, a lunch bunch session. She is getting ready to start a 5-part series come March, so look out for this. But if parents are interested, it's a half-an-hour session and it'll be a series over several weeks. As a school with our random acts of kindness, social emotional work, our students receive lessons grounded in these 6 pillars and attend monthly celebrations showing their success. Our celebrations are held by our students. They run it, our student council runs it alongside our teachers, Ms. Smith and Ms. Monterrubio. And the kids have done phenomenal with the entire piece of it. You'll see here, we alternate. So some months we'll do virtual, others will do in person. But I set up the call for the virtual and the kids run it. I'm quiet and they do just a beautiful job introducing the teachers and just having the whole flow of the entire celebration. So the next slide, you will hear a video with some images of our students from field trips, in-person learning days, and background. In the background, you're going to hear a message from 2 families. You'll hear Angel. He did some interviewing for us. And so I hope you enjoy.
Could you tell me about your experience at the Virtual Academy?
Hi, my name is Nadia, and our family has been part of the Virtual Academy since day one. I've had friends ask me, well, has this been hard on your children since they're not actually in school? To which I answer, they are in school. The only difference is that they take their classes through Zoom. And through that Zoom class, they have one teacher that is assigned to them for the rest of the year. They get to interact with all of their classmates. They have breakout rooms. What I love about this school is that even though we're virtual, we still participate in school celebrations. We have an on-site counselor. We have meal distributions. We are able to also have in-person days. So that allows our children, even though they're virtual, they get to physically go to their school and spend time with their classmates as well as with their teacher. Our staff is amazing. They are able to provide support in any way, shape, or form that is needed.
Good evening. I am the proud mom of 2nd grader Fausto Martinez, who is a special education student and a founding scholar of the Virtual Academy. My hope is to convey through our experience how essential the Virtual Academy has been and continues to be for students and families of special needs and circumstances, and for those looking beyond the basic tech-based education that doesn't offer the level of needed individualized support and sense of community. He also stated, we learn better. The truth is that not all children thrive in the traditional classroom setting. The combination of independent, asynchronous, and synchronous learning has allowed the flexibility for my son to learn at his own pace, especially in his challenge areas while further developing his strengths in conjunction with his peers. Such learning has given us the added benefit of receiving specialized education outside class time without missing out on further instruction or creating additional delays. My son thinks the apps are amazing. The reality is that we are living in a tech-driven community. The level of both soft, hard skills my son has acquired at the Virtual Academy has exceeded my expectations, and quite frankly, speaking from my managerial experience, is comparable to that of working professionals. Just to name a few, by using a combination of platforms and apps, he has not only developed tech savviness and learned various subject matter, but also skills and tools to adapt, troubleshoot, and persevere during difficulties. He has developed a sense of community through teamwork with his peers and a level of inclusivity that may not have been possible in person due to his medical needs. As a parent, it is through the apps that I can successfully work in partnership with the school and take an active role in supporting and monitoring his learning. As the mission statement states, the Virtual Academy prepares students to discover their potential through inquiry and project-based learning, ultimately preparing lifelong learners for the global community.
Any questions?
Could you tell me about your experience at the Virtual?
Principal Syverson, can you tell me about your experience at the Virtual Academy?
I love it, but this is my baby. I absolutely love the Virtual Academy. I think it has a place for some students. It's not for everybody, but it is for some.
Well, some things came out of COVID that we would not have expected, and this is one of them. And so I'm really proud how the virtual academy is still molding. It's molding, and it is different than regular day school. And I agree with the parent. It allows the child to learn at their own pace and find the interest that will connect and engage that student that might not necessarily engage in a regular classroom. And I'm really impressed with the technology. Where is she? Yay, technology. There you are. And the teachers, the ability to turn on a dime when COVID hit and what to do, what to do, what to do. You learn quick. I mean, this was quick, the virtual academy, and well, all teachers. But when we created this virtual academy and you all came aboard, you saw a need to address these students and where they live. And it just warms my heart, all of you, that you've done such a spectacular job, and the resources that the technology has given you and the training. I mean, thank you for stepping up. Thank you. But did notice that your enrollment came down a little bit. And so I hope that they went back to our regular school setting. And if not, why not? And I want the program to succeed. Thank you. I do too. And we can only do that through enrollment. And I'm really interested in how student achievement is going to look this year because it is a different type of learning. And I'm so excited to see what happens. So thank you, Principal Syverson, for your dedication to this district and many, many positions. And congratulations on being our principal of our new virtual academy. Thank you.
I really want to say that this report has really put Virtual Academy to me was a computer and a kid like the old Zoom thing. That was my experience. No, it doesn't look like that. It looks really colorful and exciting and wonderful and good to put faces on all of this too. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. But I do have one question. Okay. The Learning Anywhere page, does this mean you have students in Mexico City, Washington State, and Ireland?
Our families travel frequently. So if they want to go see grandma for whatever, yes. We have a young lady who was in Ireland at the time. She was there for about 2 weeks and she is known to travel. The family does nothing but travel. So we have parents everywhere.
Another, reason that this might be something to make sure it succeeds, huh?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Principal Syverson. Are there changes to the agenda? Seeing none, may I hear a motion to approve the meeting agenda as is?
I motion to approve.
Thank you. Second? Okay, Quinones, Mr. Quinones is seconding. Discussion? No, we don't need discussion, do we? Yeah. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
I do need to call for the vote.
No, I know that. I
Oh.
was just gonna do. that. Thank you. She wants to keep me on my toes. Yes. Let's call for the vote.
Ellsworth,
Here. No. Aye.
Liker, Lopez Aquino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. We have communications to the Board of Trustees from the various groups here. First up, educational leadership.
Good evening, President Ellsworth, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Espinosa, Executive Board and audience. My name is Lisa Salaya, and I represent our District English Learner Advisory Committee. Before we get started, I would like to introduce our newly elected cabinet. We have our chair, Evelyn Casa.
Good afternoon.
We have our vice chair, Graciela Nava.
Good evening.
And we have our secretary, Mariel Origen. I'm so excited. We have our chair. She's our representative from Howard Pence Elementary. Our vice chair, Graciela Nava, is our representative from Nestor Language Academy, and Mariel is our virtual academy representative. So I'm just so excited that we have our newly elected cabinet. At our January DLAC meeting, Principal Joseph Prosapio shared highlights from Berry Elementary. Mr. Prosapio went over the demographics of the students that they serve. He also shared with our DLAC some Berry initiatives that they have in place. Instructional small group focus in reading. He talked about RISE school-wide expectations, which stands for responsibility, integrity, safety, and empathy. He talked about upgrades and beautification projects in the TK and kinder area, the PTA clothing bank, and then that Berry is in the early stages of investigation of becoming a community school. Our DLAC members read and approved the minutes. And then we had two special guests from Southwest Middle School. The first one was our Spanish teacher and dual immersion coordinator, Norma Perez Uriarte, gave a presentation on their dual immersion program there, which is a 50-50 model. She was trying to recruit our sixth graders that do not feed into Nestor and Imperial Beach, and making that available for our sixth graders here at South Bay Union. She shared that the program goals are to ensure that students will become cross-cultural ambassadors for the community, develop high levels of proficiency in English and in Spanish, develop academic performance at or above grade level, have more career opportunities, and develop stronger family cohesion and connection to family heritage. Southwest Middle School also has a dual language club with student board members, and the board members that I saw pictures of, they're all our former students, so I recognized a lot of them. So part of the club responsibilities is to fundraise, to pay for field trips, such as going to USC or to the Space Center. And then the 8th grade students that meet the proficiency in both languages receive awards and medals of promotion. We are having that in place this year as well for our 8th grade students at Nestor and for our 6th grade students at Sunny Slope. So that's more to come on that. We also had social science teacher and ADVID coordinator Antonio Ortiz, who shared information on AVID, which is Advanced Via Individual Determination Program and its benefits. Coordinator Lisa Salaya updated the parents about LPAC. It's up and running. So we've really assessed a lot of students so far. And there's a link there for parents, both in English and in Spanish. And then Coordinator Lisa Salaya also announced that the next DLAC meeting will be March 7th at Nikolaff Elementary. We will have our meeting, and then afterwards, we're going to have our resource fair. We've been really, announcing it and everything. Kids are going to get lots of flyers from it. And so we're really looking forward to it. And we are working collaboratively with Julie Crespo from Reach Out to Families to make this a success. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Salaya, y bienvenidos. Capital projects, please. No report, thank you. South Bay PTA Council. Yeah, I see no report. South Bay Union School District Education Foundation. No report, thank you. California School Employees Association, Chapter 59, better known as CSCA.
we go. Good evening, Superintendent Espinosa. President Ellsworth, Board of Trustees, not gonna go there. Good evening. And everyone, CSEA, certificated, everybody, thank you. Hello, good evening. On behalf of CSEA, we appreciate your approval of our Me Too for the increase of wages and the district's contribution to our health and welfare. Thank you. Our district is still not up to par with our surrounding districts, but every little bit counts. I would like to remind the Board of Trustees of the hopes that past President Marco Amaral had for classified was to raise the minimum wage to 25. Before he left, we were negotiated 17. We would like to see that go up to be compatible. Our chapter will be looking to continue to raise our minimum wage for next year. The California $18 minimum wage initiative has qualified for the ballot in California as an initiated state statute on the November 5th, 2024 ballot. Let's be ahead of the game. Our district minimum wage is less than the fast food restaurants, and we take care of human beings. The pay for substitute is still $15 in some positions. Why? I am happy to announce that we will be sending 3 delegates to Parapro in April. They are Caprice Smith, a special ed instructor, instructional assistant, and currently a bus aide in transportation department. Troy Owens, our bus driver, treasurer, and Itai Marshall, the special ed, he's also a special ed instructional assistant. When they return, the delegates will share what they have learned in collaboration with the special ed department. This is a 3-day event in Ontario. It's been, as we all know, everything's been in Zoom, so this is amazing. I'm so happy this is in person. Last month, we had about 70 ESSER-funded employees, and this month we added several more. All these employees were hired knowing that it was temporary, but the help they give our students is not temporary. Kids are first, right? Instead of hiring more administrators, hire staff to support the site. Put the money where the students need it. I encourage all ESSER-funded staff to attend your next board meeting on March 9th to let the Board of Trustees know that you exist and that you are needed. The retirement incentive has passed. Woo! That was a crazy ride. Congratulations to everyone who stepped on board. We will be losing a lot of classified staff and certificated staff this year. I want to thank you all for your hard work, years, and dedication to the district. Currently, we had a appeal go to for the administrative secretaries, the school admin secretaries. When we eliminated the coordinator of community volunteers and resource staff members a few years ago, well, guess who took on all that work? Yes, your admins did. Not only did they take on that work, but they also took on the extra work that COVID brought us. But it did not pass. It failed once again. The workload that our admins have does not qualify a reclass, so we were told. But the mediator suggested to discuss the workload during our labor management meetings and the working together meetings. We have done this since the reforming of HR. A lot of the work that the interviewing that HR used to set up, the meetings, they set up the panels, they set up all that. Well, now it's going to all the sites. It was supposed to go to the hiring managers, which are your principals or your site staff, your hiring manager. It was being handed down to your admins to set up appointments, appointments, yes, but to request staff to sit on the panel. In the past, Ms. Cheryl Finch, we miss you. I miss you. Would set up these interview panels. Now CSEA and SWATA are responsible for finding candidates to fill in these panels during our volunteer positions. This work needs to go back to HR. great they restructured it, but the work belongs in HR. It's human resources. That's where human resource jobs should be, not for your admins. The executive director has informed the hiring manager and supervisors to stop giving the admins work, that this work does not belong to them, but it continues. Admins, I want to let you know that yes, we are classified. We want to get the job done, but you need to take care of yourselves, do what you need to do your jobs. And if you know that this job isn't yours, kindly ask. Kindly inform them, this is not my job. Somebody else needs to do this job. We really need to work on that. A lot of jobs were just passed on down to everybody else. When we got rid of our community volunteers, that's work that was given to admins. When HR restructured, that work was given to admins. It needs to stop if you're not going to pay them and pay them out of class. That's about it for that one. Thank you. Thank you for listening, everybody. So on March 11th, SBUSD will be having their second job fair. CSEA will be participating on the interview panels. Thank you for allowing us to sit on these panels and to offer us the extra work on Saturday. We appreciate it. The next new employee orientation is scheduled for February 22nd. I hope to see all the new employees and share what CSEA has to offer you. Thank you very much for your time and good evening.
Thank you, CSCA. Southwest Teachers Association, SWTA, SWATA. Looks like no report. District Superintendent Espinosa.
Good evening, President Ellsworth, trustees, community members, staff, parents that are here. I just want to say thank you for being here with us tonight. I see a lot of faces in our meeting tonight, so just thank you for being here and for engaging.
I believe we are on to public comments on non-agenda items. Do we have any blue cards?
Maria Gutierrez.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and members of the community. My name is Maria Gutierrez, parent of a special education student. My son has been part of the special education program with the South Bay School District since preschool for about 7 years. In that time, I have seen significant shift in our education system. The students are falling behind with learning, impacting the daily curriculum that is a total failure. The number of students per classroom is just outrageous, and more responsibilities are given to these teachers. Children spend majority of the day with teachers and staff. The shift that I have seen, special education teachers are spending most of their time regulating students. Teachers are struggling with time. They are not able to provide feedback about students' education needs and concerns. All students have different disabilities and different attention, and you're grouping them together. Most of the teachers that I and my child have interacted have been dedicated and passionate. Now I'm seeing this going out of hand, and now we will have a shortage of teachers. Given the economic circumstances right now, our children are impacted at home, and parents are relying on school settings to help overcome these obstacles. Children are bombarded with emotional and mental stress. They are not able to identify these emotional and how to handle them. The issues have shown in our children's behavior. What happened to music, field trips, arts and crafts, parades? It's part of their early development. The impact does not limit in the last year. Uvalde, Texas, 18-year-old took the lives of 4th grade teachers and students. Another 6th grade-year-old student intentionally shot a teacher at Virginia school. This is happening. Can you see the impact in our society? Can you give me a peace of mind that this will not happen in our schools? You can't do that, right? Stop selling our children's education, turning them into contracts. Pay attention to the budgets where the funds are being overspent. And if you're not part of the budget support, help us communicate these issues. But we do need qualified teachers. smaller classroom, extracurricular activities, proper and up-to-date training for teachers and staff. If you need help, get the professional people in this field it will be money well spent. I'm asking each of you to spend the time to look at the big picture. Students need to be taught, and in order to get an education, teachers need support, and listen to our petition and the board to find a solution to these outgoing problems. If you do not make changes now, you will be seeing negative impact. We will no longer have teachers that are passionate, caring, and enthusiastic, will only be finding yourself filling a position with specific guidelines to follow better maybe going online. And teachers will be behind a computer or overseas because you are not going to find qualified teachers. I can only speak as a parent, what I have seen and experienced. I'm not a professional, and most of you have education backgrounds. I'm here not only representing my son, I'm also representing working parents that are not able to come since our economic system is also broken. I am also representing teachers and staff. We can all agree that we need a change. To change it must be now. You will find yourself not only having positive impact to students and teachers, you will also see the shift of better society. Now I'm asking you, what is the solution to these problems? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jack Fisher.
Good evening, Board Superintendent. A couple of weeks ago, I sent out emails to a couple of the trustees, and I got some quick replies. It was in regards of support for IB girls softball and using some of the fields that may be available at the schools. I found out very quickly from a nice comment from Trustee Quinones that they didn't oversee it, and some additional information from Ms. Cooper, but I found the process, and I understand the process, and I passed it on along to the person that I know that had made the request to help her. But I want to ask for support, not only from the trustees, but from the superintendent and your staff, that when that application comes across your desk, that you look at it and you really find out how the school district can work in a joint partnership with Imperial Beach Softball to further these and to learn the life skills. You know, I've heard amazing things this evening. I'm grateful to see a couple of my high school classmates here who one's the board president for the CSEA, and then Principal Syverson. It's great to see this. And that's what's built a community. And so I hope that we can find a way to think outside the box and to do those things which are there. We know the processes, we know there's rules. It happens in everything. You know, earlier I was speaking with Trustee Quinones, and we're old school IB. We didn't have a whole lot of rules. We just did stuff because the important part wasn't following the rules. It was to get things done. And I know liability, I understand that, but I think that there's ways that we can get around some perceived obstacles and to be, you know, to work together for those joint partnerships within Imperial Beach. So I hope that as it comes forward, Superintendent, that you take a close look and work with the principals and do whatever we can, because we have an amazing girls softball league that's creating championships teams. And we all know what team sports do. Number one, they get kids out of the house and to get into there, and they learn hard work, they learn discipline, they learn teamwork, they learn all the skills in life that you need to survive in a work environment or just about any environment. So I hope that you really take a good look and that you can find ways to make this happen for the community, to grow this part of it. That we all have the same responsibilities to oversee a community of people, the youth, the students. And again, you know, it doesn't always take resources. It just takes out of the box thinking to make it happen. So thank you and good evening.
Thank you.
I believe we are moving on to our discussion and action items. We have the governance documents. Up first, I'd like to recognize Superintendent Espinosa.
Thank you, Trustee President Ellsworth. The governance documents that we are bringing to the board for consideration and approval are all centered around facilities, developer fees, and general obligation bonds. As the board is aware, we are given updates through CSBA, who we contract with, to create these updates to ensure that our policies are up to date with current legislation, case law, things like that. And so at this time, we are bringing these documents forward and request that the board approve them. Thank you.
Thank you. May I hear a motion to approve? I move. You move? Okay, thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or? Seeing none, call for the vote, please.
Ellsworth,
Yes.
Liker, Lopez Aguino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Plan is up next. I'd like to recognize Director Tom Bevilacqua.
Good evening, President Ellsworth, Superintendent Espinosa, trustees, executive team, colleagues, and community members. Tonight, I bring before you the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Plan, otherwise known as ELOP, along with a brief presentation from Christina Alton, our Extended Learning Program Coordinator. Expanded Learning includes before and after school, summer, and intersession learning programs. In development of the draft ELOP plan, the district collected and integrated input from students, families, and staff. The district is projected to receive approximately $8 million in ELOP funding. Additionally, Imperial Beach Charter School is projected to receive $600,000 and Nestor $1.5 million, all annually and all ongoing. And the funding is based on the unduplicated pupil count. I would like to now recognize Christina Alton, who will be providing a brief presentation on the Extended Learning Program.
Thank you, Tom. The Expanded Learning Opportunities Program was recently established in Educational Code 46120 last school year in 2021-22 and amended last year in 2022 by AB 181 and AB 185. Like Tom mentioned, expanded learning supplements and enhances our regular school day. Expanded learning includes elements of play and focuses on student well-being and youth development. The Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, also called ELOP, has many unique requirements, some of which you see up here. And South Bay Union School District currently offers the program every day to all students from transitional kindergarten to 6th grade. Depending on the needs of the family, we offer up to 9 hours of program, including this regular school day during the school year. We also offer 9 hours of both academics and enrichment for 30 days of intersession. Some of our community partners that we are currently working with include the Boys and Girls Club of South County, Aptitude for Music, Elevo SEL and Sports, Enrichment Through the Arts, Event Streams Podcasting, Fern Street Community Arts and Circus, Lab Rat Science, Soccer Shots, Things Speak Spanish, Trinity Theater, and City Heights Music School for our mariachi program. Our planned future partnerships include City of Imperial Beach, Parks and Rec, Tijuana Estuary, Sweetwater School District, Kids Map the Earth, Work Ed Career Discovery, YMCA, Adventure Ed Science, Little Scholars, and Black Rockets Esports. We are in our 3rd decade of offering quality before and after school programming funded by the ACES grant in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. Now, with the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, we have been able to engage students that may need additional support a few times a week and during intersessions. Teachers, staff, and community partners are sharing their talents and skills to inspire students in a large variety of content areas. Last summer intersession, we hosted 229 students that participated. And then during our fall after-school clubs, 779 students participated. During our fall intersession, our full-day program, 144 students participated. And 868 students are currently participating in the full-service ACES funded before and after school program that we offer in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. Finally, our newest spring before and after school clubs have about 1,500 students participating. We are so grateful for the hard work and dedication and time that our teachers, staff, administrators, and community partners are investing in our South Bay Union School District students. And we appreciate and support your support and consideration of extended learning across the district. And now back to Tom.
Thank you, Christina. Now, any questions you may have?
I don't have a question because I've actually had the opportunity to go out and see a couple of the offerings and keep those invitations coming because they were really good. They were very involved and interesting. And so thank you for all the work you're doing.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you so much for bringing this forward and Mr. Pamela. But this is really great news. And the participation level is amazing. And coming back from COVID, there was a lot of community concerned about who's going to take care of my kid. I have to go back to work. So I think we filled that void in that you were very creative in the hours in which parents needed this coverage after school, just for a couple hours, that kind of thing. Instead of putting them in the 6 to 6 program, they could stay after school for a few more hours. So that really worked for our community, and the community really spoke highly about the programs, and the clubs were, the engagement part was just, it's just wonderful to hear the community talk about that. I also am impressed that we have the word swimming in your board doc here. And I look forward to hearing more about that. I know by hearing what's in hopes comes our way. But I was also looking at the plan. And I did speak with the superintendent briefly about this, but our plan, it lists 11 schools. Well, I don't want to miss Virtual Academy. And those students needs to be addressed as well. And so I'd like to see their name on that list, please.
Absolutely. And I think we know those students have a home school of one of the 11 schools within the district, and they would be able to participate there. Also, when we look at the intercession component at things, due to a variety of reasons. So for example, construction projects, they're not necessarily offered at all 12 sites. So as we are planning, say, for our summer intercession, we are looking at 4 hub schools, and we're looking to rotate those through that intercession component, just so we can allow the opportunity for some sites to have maintenance work, deep cleaning, those sorts of things. So we're not having students on campus all the time. So Virtual Academy students are absolutely invited and are able to participate in the program.
Well, thank you so much, Tom, for that. But I really want them to be listed here because they are a school. And I visited during the spring session, and where kids say, I'm from Nestor, and I'm from Mendoza, and I'm from, they're proud of their school. And so is Virtual Academy. And so when they say, what school are you from? I'm from Virtual Academy. So the pride comes from their school, their teacher, their presence, their attendance, and their work. And so that's why they need to be recognized on this document.
We will add that on there before we move the draft stamp across the top of it. So before we submit it to the state, we will include VA in the document. Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
May I hear a motion to approve the expanded learning opportunities program plan?
I move to approve the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Plan.
Thank you. Second?
I second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Let's call for the vote, please.
Ellsworth,
Yes.
Riker, Lopez Aquino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you. Potential 2023 general obligation refunding bonds. I'd like to recognize Assistant Superintendent Rigo Latta.
Good evening, Board, President Ellsworth, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Espinosa, exec team members, staff, and community members in attendance. I'd like to call up Mark Farrell from Dale Scott and Company for a presentation on the potential refunding of election 2012 Series A bonds.
Thank you, Rigo. Good evening, President Ellsworth, trustees, and Superintendent Espinosa. We're talking about refinancing or refunding. We'll use those words synonymously. One of this series of outstanding general obligation bonds that the district has. The district has 3 different elections, and that was broken up into multiple issuances. So we're looking at refinancing the Series A bonds, the first issuance from Measure Y. Those bonds were originally about $17 million in principal amount. There's about 12.2 million remaining. And similar to refinancing a home mortgage, you can refinance general obligation bonds when interest rates are favorable compared to the rates on the existing bonds. And so we saw extremely low interest rates in the pandemic. In 2022, when inflation kicked up, we saw the Fed start raising interest rates. Municipal bond rates came up very sharply throughout all of 22. And we've seen since the start of the year, interest rates kind of drop back down. And so we're at a point where it's potentially beneficial for the district to refinance the 2012 Series A bonds. And so on this chart, we graph in red the interest rate on the existing 2012 A bonds compared to where current interest rates are in blue. And different from a home mortgage, when you have bonds, there's a different interest rate for every year that principal is being repaid. So we have different interest rates throughout the life of the bonds. And one thing that may happen between now and the time of when we can actually lock in interest rates, we may pick and choose different maturities to refinance. I don't know if the pointer works, but you can see in the earlier years, there's not a lot of difference between where the current interest rates are and where the rates are on the 2012 A bonds, but much more room kind of once we get out about 7 years or so. So if interest rates become a little bit higher in those first couple years, we may decide it doesn't make sense to refinance those bonds. So the numbers might change a little bit between now and April when we can lock in interest rates. But this is kind of what we'll be monitoring on a day-to-day basis until we get to that point. And so kind of a couple things when refinancing or refunding bonds. So bonds are sold with a kind of date at which point they can be refinanced. So that date is coming up August 1, 2023. And you can refinance bonds on a tax-exempt basis up to 90 days prior to that date. So that would be May 3rd. And that's when the financing can actually be completed or closed. And we can lock interest rates in about a month prior to that without having any type of penalty. So that brings us back to kind of early April at the point where we could actually lock in the interest rates. When we refinance bonds, we cannot extend the term. So we're not pushing these payments out at all. All we're doing is taking higher interest rates and swapping them for lower interest rates. And the costs are paid out of the refunding itself, so it doesn't impact the general fund. And those funds are contingent, or the costs are contingent on the financing happening. So if interest rates were to rise between now and April, and we decided it doesn't make sense to move forward with the refunding, there would not be any cost to the district. And so there's, as I mentioned earlier, about 12.1 million of bonds still outstanding. It would make sense to refinance $11.5 million of those. Those bonds have an existing maturity date range of 2024 to 2037. We would not be changing that. The old bonds have an average interest rate of 4.6%. And at the time we ran this analysis on January 19th, the rates on the new bonds would be around 2.9. And so that's where we're getting the potential savings of $1,345,000. That takes into account the costs of issuing the bonds. We're estimating that around $241,000, and that's everything from legal fees, our fees, rating fees, everything that is included in that number. So that $1.3 million is the net that your taxpayers would see. The last number on there, the present value savings, 9.5%. It's kind of industry jargon, but we look at those savings over the life of the financing over the next 14 years, kind of come up with what do those dollars equate to today, and divide that by the principal amount. And the industry rule of thumb is at least 3%. We would tend to say more 5%. So we're almost double that. So kind of from a metric perspective, it can be a good time to refinance the bonds. And then what would those savings look like to the community? Works out to just a little bit under $100,000 a year in savings, which equates to kind of in earlier years about $1.50 of reduction in the tax rate. And we're kind of assuming, if the assessed value grows around 3.5% a year, that kind of annual tax rate savings declines a little bit, but we're looking at over $1 in savings on the tax rate. And in terms of timing, with the board's direction that you'd like to at least move forward and explore this, we'd have documents out in a couple of weeks and bring this back to the board for your approval on March 9th. We can lock in interest rates. We're projecting here on April 11th. Just prior to that, we would meet with the rating agencies, update the district's credit rating. And then once we lock in the interest rates, potentially on April 11th, the savings will be locked to the district. And then we spend the next couple of weeks just doing all the final documentation and close in on May 4th. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Trustee Quinones, do you have a question?
Sorry. That's okay. Thank you for your report tonight. I don't know if the taxpayers in our community are aware that this would save us money. Yes. And so I just want to put that out there. This is timely and the most responsible thing I've heard in a while. So thank you for bringing it to us.
Yeah, I really appreciate your timeline also, because I was wondering how long with all the fluctuations from the Fed and all that stuff. So thank you for your clear explanation. So I think we need to provide some direction. No? He's asking for, Mark is asking for direction to move forward to
bring this back to the
look
March
at
9th
this.
board meeting for approval or consideration.
I would agree to that.
No, just some direction that we need to pull
Hope to
everybody.
see you soon.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Sounds great. How about you two? I think you have direction. And thank you. We have the pupil Transportation Plan, I'd like to recognize Director Laura Ortiz. There you are.
Thank you. We'll do this over again. Good evening, President Ellsworth, trustees, welcome, Superintendent Espinosa, colleagues, and community. I would like to first apologize to you because you don't have copies of this presentation. So, AB 181 is new legislation that requires the LEAs, in other words, school districts, to develop a pupil transportation plan. And it is for this reason that we will have a public meeting this evening. Multitasking here. All right. AB 181 will reimburse school districts 80% of their transportation operating costs. It does not include capital expenses like construction, but it does include operational costs. We receive a yearly transportation apportionment of $234,426, and that apportionment has remained the same since the 2013-14 school year. Our annual transportation costs are actually around $2 million, and with the state providing $234,426, the district has to provide the difference and does. This is not our extra funds for the district. It is exclusively for the reimbursement of operational costs. In order to be eligible to receive these funds, the district must develop a pupil transportation plan that meets the mandate's criteria. Being in compliance with the mandate means that we will be reimbursed for 60% of the costs of the prior year's operational costs, and in the plan, we must describe how we will prioritize transportation services for PKK and any grades first through the sixth grade inclusive, and pupils that are low income. The plan must have public input and be approved by the board every year by April the 1st. This is a new plan that is in development, so it will need to be revised and improved every year. We will be audited by the state, and the first time we are audited, they will, and I'm sure in subsequent years as well, let us know how we can improve the plan. We currently serve the communities of Imperial Beach, San Diego, and San Isidro with 43 routes that serve special education, regular education overflows, homeless, and foster care students. To be eligible for transportation, you must live within the district boundaries, and students who reside beyond the walking distances are eligible for transportation. We do have students that are eligible for transportation that live outside of the district, and students that are also eligible for transportation that live within the district boundaries but attend schools outside of the school district for specialized services. We transport approximately 250 students in the morning and another 250 students in the afternoon. We do not charge parents for transportation, and we have not charged for bus passes since the return from COVID. We used to charge $5 per bus pass, but we haven't reinstated that cost. We have 16 drivers, 1 school van driver, 1 sub van driver, and 7 bus attendants, 2 mechanics, 1 operations lead, 1 operations technician, and we currently have 98 active bus stops. However, with all of that, we have faced our challenges. We are currently missing an in-house California State instructor, and we're also down our heavy-duty mechanic.
we were down a school bus driver. And right now we're currently looking for adequate routing software. And meanwhile, that routing is done by our extraordinarily skilled Doreen Wick. Absences have been high as well, due to COVID and also general absences. But in spite of all of those challenges, we've also had successes. We continue school bus drivers training by contracting with an outside California state instructor. We've hired a school bus driver, so we filled that position. And of course, our routing is done by Doreen. It is our intention that our mechanic, so our routing is done by Doreen, and our mechanic substitutes for our heavy duty mechanic, and we get our mechanic help 3 times a day. We've been able to transport our students even with high absenteeism. Well, I see I skipped I'm at this slide right now. So our goals are to hire a California state instructor. We did fill that one position, and we would like to have several people proficient in routing, whether it's with the use of software or not. We'd love to have our heavy duty mechanic back. And we've actually really improved on our attendance. And we even had one day that we thought, let's mark this day with a photograph or something, because there were no attendance. There were no absences, and that's extremely unusual. All right, I'm gonna knock on wood here. There we go. So for the pupil transportation plan, we've had 2 in-person opportunity for input sessions. One was with the transportation staff and January the 17th, and the other one was with the LCAP advisory meeting just about a week ago. We've also sent out surveys. We've sent out surveys to transportation staff in general, including classified teachers, administrators. We've also sent out surveys to parents and students. And tonight, this is going to be our 3rd in-person input by opening up a public meeting. We've also, part of the mandate says that we have to gather input from our educational partners. And so we've also reached out to the Metro Transit System and to the Air Pollution Control Board as part of the mandate. And of our surveys, here are our number of responses. From our transportation staff, we've had 21. From staff, 92. LCAP meeting, 10. Community members, or in other words, parents or guardians, 13. And students, 399. So I'm really excited. But this was as of 2/6, so I'm sure we probably have more. Input, this is a sample of one of our questions for our parents. And one of the questions was, what improvements would you like the district to consider when developing the pupil transportation plan? If they could list 1 to 5 things, how we could provide better service. Here are some of the responses. We had good responses. Actually, everything is really great. So some people are very happy with our service. Some are happy that we do transport students even if they don't have a bus pass or they lose their bus pass, and we do immediately try to replace those bus passes. Here's another, thank goodness, a very happy parent. And then we continue with the next question, responses. There's a parent who says, as key stops points were put in place, open more school transportation routes. Not all students are eligible for transportation. Let's see, more communication. And we do try to do that when our drivers arrive early. The protocol is that they call into dispatch calls the parents, lets them know, hey, we're arriving 3 minutes early, 5 minutes early, whatever the case. And the opposite is the same if we're arriving late. So, we also, a couple of more questions. Is that one and the last one. Provide transportation to before and after school programs, and they'd like a bus attendant on every bus that has special needs students. I would like to open up this hearing for public comments.
So you want the public hearing right now, or do we want some comments first? Which
Either
order?
way.
Either way, okay. Okay, since you requested it to be open,
Thank you.
I open this public hearing for the pupil transportation plan for comments for that.
There are no
Public?
public comments.
Thank you very much. So we'll close it.
Thank you.
Are there any?
Any questions?
Wow, that's a lot of work. Thank you. Your team, your staff, all the input pieces that you provided to us tonight. I don't think we've ever, in my whole, I don't know how many years, I won't say, had a report from transportation such as this. And I think it comes from the state of California recognizing the need to increase the allotment for school districts and transportation. And that came from many school board members advocating last March for this particular item, but I didn't realize that this trailer bill became a bill that came with all these particular things that you have to do. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about the work that you're doing on the plan, because it sounds like it's going to be a living document that the board will hear every year.
Yes.
And I'm really proud of your staff and in hopes that our heavy duty mechanic comes back to work. And I'm thankful for all your staff and what they've done in the last couple of years in trying to get students to school and staying well themselves and putting themselves at jeopardy. I just wanted to recognize that work. So again, thank you, and I look forward to hearing more. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you. May I hear a motion for the consent calendar, please? The approval, adoption, ratification. Are you gonna do it? Trustee Quinones? I motion to accept the consent calendar. You motion to accept the consent calendar. Okay, second.
Second.
Thank you. And the vote, please.
Ellsworth,
Yes.
Liker, Lopez Aguino,
Aye.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
We're on to future agenda items. I'd like to recognize Superintendent, please.
Thank you, President Ellsworth. And as of right now, we do not have any.
Turn the page.
Okay, so we do have a item on there, possible partnerships with high schools for student activities. And so I'll just open it up to the board to get consensus on adding that to a future agenda item, or we can produce some information around that.
I would love to hear more. When I was in high school here, we had partnerships with the elementary schools. We were able to do cross-age tutoring
we were able to help out in the library. I think it allows our high schoolers to be good role models for our elementary school students. I think it could also be a great support to our classrooms for tutoring or helping with the library, returning books and stuff. And we have two schools. We have a Nestor next to Southwest and IB Charter in Mar Vista, which are right next to each other. And it's sense to me. I'd love to hear more.
Would this be an agenda item or something that could be taken care of locally between sites?
And once the board decides or reaches consensus that this is something that they would like to know more about, then during agenda planning, President Ellsworth and I will decide how to get that information back to the board.
Madam President, I think that Pamela's done a really excellent job in our LCAP review every month. And this is kind of like a school engagement partnership, like IB Charter is with Mar Vista or Southwest Middle with Nestor, bringing in tutors that they do. So perhaps maybe it would be best if we could ask Pamela to do something in her LCAP update as opposed to a separate presentation.
Okay, so you're saying not on the agenda, but definitely more
Maybe
information.
dovetail into a Pamela updating LCAP, how we do that and engagement and mentorship.
Would it matter to you how that information is brought to you?
No.
Okay, but that is brought. We have to.
I mean, I'd be interested in learning more about how we can do that and then like connecting it with the community schools that we're looking into, how that could intersect.
And I trust that whenever you discuss it and decide how to present it, I trust that that will be sufficient.
Okay, so there's interest in learning more about it. There you are.
Okay, thank you very much. And then so we move to our next item, which is any requests for future agenda items. And at this point, trustees just, make the request. We don't have to, because it's not agendized at this point, so there's no discussion. We just make the request, we write it down, and then we bring it back for the next agenda.
Earlier today, we talked a lot about the budget and declining enrollment. I would be interested in hearing more about, or one of the things that we talked about when it comes to declining enrollment is like the lack of affordability here in California. And I would like to see if there's a way that we can find out, like maybe like a housing study, a housing survey that can go out to the parents in our district. So we could have a better understanding about, for example, how much are they currently paying for rent? How much of their income goes towards rent? Do they know their rights as tenants, or are people renters versus homeowners? Do folks know their rights? Do they know where to go if they need help? Like what resources are out there if there's a family who's in a housing crisis or has a housing issue? And then also if there's a way to collect data regarding like, have people been evicted recently? How long have they lived in their home? So I'm not sure what the exact questions would be, but a study that would kind of help provide that information to get a better understanding of what the families in our district are going through.
Thank you. Let me just kind of repeat back what I'm hearing. So you would like us to look at how housing insecurities and the effects of that have impacted our declining enrollment. Is that kind of the request?
Yeah, and I mean, if there's a way for us to find more specific data that we can use to maybe advocate or work with like the local governments to see what we can do to help protect the families and make sure that they're able to stay in our community and don't continue to be pushed out.
Okay, thank you.
I have had questions by parents and teachers on how our TOSA is supporting our students. I would like to understand their role and plan for our TOSAs to be able to understand their roles and duties in a long term. If they could please start by providing their job description for us to understand a little bit more about it.
Okay. So the item would be, how are our district TOSAs supporting students in the classroom? Yes, okay. And then the second part of that is you would like us to provide their job descriptions, so we just provide that for the board.
Yes.
Okay, so we can do that like in a Friday update if that's fine. And then the other piece. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you all. I believe now it's time for communication from us. You choose who goes first. You don't have to go first. You can, there we go. Okay.
I just want to say I'm really happy to see everybody today. It's our third board meeting as a new board, and feels like every meeting there's more people. So I want to challenge all of you to come back for the next meeting and bring a friend, a teacher, or a parent. All right, thank you.
I so agree with you. That's what I was thinking too. It's really a pleasure to see everybody's face here and seeing the staff from the virtual to actually remain. That's, thank you. And everybody's work. Oh my gosh, we are not experts up here, so your work is really appreciated. And happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you to everyone for coming this evening and those on Zoom and board for your work this evening. Each time we move forward, we move forward for kids. And we're bringing our community with us. And with that strength and our staff, our superintendent, we will be mighty and we will be strong. And I'm so thankful for the early retirement benefits that are coming our way, and the support from the board recognizes this hasn't happened in as long as I can remember. It's a good deal, and I'm really happy that it passed. I'm really sad to see somebody's name on this list tonight. Not that I'm not sad about everybody, but this person, David Shepherd, he needs a David Shepherd Boulevard sign on the VIP road. Okay, Jack Fisher, wherever you are. And what you've brought to our children, my own children, grandchildren, through that program. I know, you don't need to go down the road, but I will miss you. And I want to recognize the assessor agreements with SWATA, CSEA, and our certificate in classified management confidential employees. We worked really hard as a board and the superintendent to ensure that we have well-paid staff, well-valued staff, and recognize the importance of their health and welfare benefits. When I started working, it was free. And then it went up and it went up, and to see the amount of healthcare costs today, it's just, it just blows my mind. But what really warms my heart is that the district recognizes that your health and well-being as staff members, all of you, is at the forefront of what these health and welfare benefits and wages and increases mean. It's just not the dollar. It's about you and taking care of you and your work. So I want you to know that you are valued and the board has worked hard on this. You don't hear about it, but you see it and it's right here. It's the board work that says, we do, we are, and we will. So with that, thank you, Superintendent. Thank you, Melissa and your team and Nico, and bringing forward a package that all should be proud to say that we are the district employees and we are valued. So thank you for that. With that, I'll just say, thank you for the meeting, Madam President, and thank you for everyone that's staying. I saw a lot of administrators out there tonight. It's just like, welcome back. I mean, it was like that like 5 years ago. Everybody had to like take a day. And so to see you out there now, thank you for coming. It's been a long day for all of you. So I appreciate your work and your attention this evening. Thank you.
Okay, I'm ready now. Yes, thank you, Mr. David, for all you've done for VIP. Both of my daughters went through the program there, and they were in the inclusion class, which was just amazing. All the experiences there were just amazing. And the after-school programs, my daughters have been involved in that, and it's been a great source of joy. I missed the deadline for spring, so they're not in this semester, and we're on the wait list. But that's okay. That's what happens when when I miss a deadline. We have to be waitlisted, and it's my fault. So, but I told them I would make sure to be signing up on the first day next year. And thank you all for being here. I miss being at the schools and in the classrooms and seeing you all and working at the school. So it's really nice to see everybody here. And I know that sometimes everything is like a slow moving ship here. But I have so much faith and hope in our school district and how we're just getting better and better. And thank you all for all of you.
I just want to thank you all for staying until the end of the meeting. And thank you for all your hard work, and have a good evening.
Good evening.
Before we end.
I take it back.
Okay. We can do it now. I just wanted to say on behalf of the management staff that are in the audience tonight, which makes up principals, directors, coordinators, confidential employees, supervisors. Thank you very much for supporting our raise, recognizing our work, and highlighting our contributions. We really appreciate it.